You guys see the title, you know why you're here. This next story is a true story. It should be used as an example of what are the possibilities when dating, visiting, or traveling around the world. Watch or listen to this while you're driving, cleaning, on the train, at the gym, or just getting things done. Grab yourself a drink or a snack. This is a story you don't want to miss. Stay until the end. This one is a banger. Here it goes. My name's Santiago. I'm 25, and it was just another ordinary Saturday at the mall. I was gonna get some new kicks or maybe a hoodie. My mind was all over the place since I was juggling work, school, and trying to fit the gym in consistently. But then I saw her. It wasn't even one of those dramatic moments where time stops or anything. Nah, it wasn't like that. But the second I laid eyes on her, something hit different. She wasn't like the girls I saw around here. She wasn't your typical California girl. No, this girl was different. She had that natural beauty, you know? Long blonde hair, blue eyes. She looked kinda Eastern European, not your typical Becky. I had a thing for white girls. She was slim but thick, a dangerous combination. I was trying to figure out where she was from, but I couldn't quite place her. I was about to keep walking because, hey, I'm not the type of guy to just go up to any random girl, but then I caught her eye. Damn, I was caught. There was no way I wasn't going to at least say something now, or I'd look like a creep. So I did the thing that every guy does when they see someone attractive and don't know what to say. I walked up, smiled, and just said, "Hey, what's up? You're from around here?" I asked in my usual casual tone, trying to play it smooth, you know? She smiled, but it wasn't the smile I was expecting. I thought she'd be stuck up, but no, she just smiled and said, "No hablo inglés." Bro, the math wasn't mathing. The last thing I expected was her to break out Spanish. I was thinking, if you're at least gonna reject me, be original, but she wasn't lying. She was Latina. I hit her back with, "¿De dónde eres? Where are you from?" She looked at me and said, "Soy cubana. Me llamo Lulu." Lulu. Okay, nice name, I said. Try my best to keep the conversation going, even though I knew I didn't speak Spanish like I should. My Spanish was, well, let's just say it was enough to get by. I understood everything fine, but speaking it, that was a different story. She seemed to notice that I was struggling, but she didn't mind. She didn't seem judgmental or annoyed at all, just kind of amused by my attempt to speak Spanish. I could see she was giving me the puppy eyes. She was definitely digging me. After a few awkward moments of me stumbling through my Spanglish, she finally laughed and said, "Don't worry, te entiendo perfectamente." I felt relieved. Maybe I wasn't as terrible at Spanish as I thought. We ended up talking for a few more minutes, and even though there was a language barrier, it didn't really matter. It was like the vibe between us clicked, cabrón. "I'm just getting used to life here," she was telling me. "Es muy diferente aquí comparado con Cuba." I nodded, trying to understand. "I bet, but hey, you're doing well here. You're making it work, right?" She smiled again and said in her cute Cuban accent, "Trying to. I like it here, but it's hard." And that's when I noticed something that struck me about her. It wasn't just her beauty, although, trust me, that was a big part of it. It was the way she spoke, the way she looked at me with that pure, untainted curiosity. She didn't have that jaded, stuck-up attitude that most itches have here. It's like she didn't realize how hot she was, or maybe she just didn't make that her whole personality. She didn't seem like the type to expect anything from me. Like the games, the tricks, the ulterior motives. It was nice, man. So after a few more minutes of my awkward Spanish, we exchanged numbers. Well, actually, I gave her my number since she barely knew any English to text me back. If you ever want to practice English or talk about Cuba, I said awkwardly, but I was trying to not seem too interested. She smiled and said, "Okay, I'll text you, pero I'll probably just call you in Spanish, okay?" I said, "Deal." I left the mall that day feeling like I had met someone different, someone who wasn't just about the usual stuff that went down with girls here in the States. You know, the ones who are all about what you could give them, what they can get, playing the whole dating games that I was honestly starting to get tired of. Lulu seemed like a breath of fresh air. There was no pretense, pressure, just genuineness, you know? I didn't really think much about it after that day. Yeah, I was busy, man. School, work, trying to stay on top of my grind, all that. But I couldn't help but think about her every now and then. I mean, who wouldn't? She was cute as hell, sweet, and so different from all the girls I just saw around here, you know? A week later, Lulu texted me, and it was the start of something that would change everything. So a few days passed after I met Lulu, and I wasn't expecting anything crazy to happen. But to my surprise, she actually followed through and texted me. Not just any text, it was in Spanish, of course. I had to Google a few words here and there, but hey, I didn't mind. I wasn't going to let my no sabo ass hold me back from talking to her. We started texting more often. It was simple stuff at first, nothing too deep, but it was nice. She sent me some messages about her day, how she was getting used to life in the US, how she missed home, and the usual what's up stuff. But the more we texted, the more I realized there was something real about her. She wasn't just some girl looking for a hookup or just to talk about random shit. She was actually trying to connect, to get to know me, and to learn about my life. And me? I was trying to keep it chill. You know how it is. I had school to deal with. Computer science was not easy. I had a lot of studying to do, but I was determined to make it work. Plus, I had to work. And with all the stuff I was juggling, I wasn't about to turn to one of those guys who text their girl every hour of the day. That's when I started getting into the whole dating strategy thing. You know, the stuff I learned from this dude named Chris Canwell on YouTube. This dude's all about staying busy, staying on your grind, and letting the girl come to you. So I made sure to follow his advice. Kept things casual, didn't overdo the texting, and let her put in the effort. And let me tell you, Lulu, she was all in. She didn't play games or give me any hot and cold crap. She texted me here and there, but she wasn't blowing up my phone 24/7. It was like she had a life outside of me, and I respected that. At some point, we decided to meet up again. I figured, why not? We'd been texting back and forth for a couple of weeks, and I was curious to see if the spark from that first day was still there. It was, and then some. When I saw her again, I couldn't help but notice how much more comfortable she seemed around me. She was just a sweet, innocent girl who wasn't worried about looking perfect. Her hair was messy, like she didn't give a damn about impressing anyone, and that was kinda hot. She was naturally beautiful, nothing fake about her, nothing forced. We ended up grabbing some coffee, and I gotta admit, I was a little nervous. I mean, here I was, a guy trying to figure out his future while balancing work, school, and all the other shit in between. And here she was, this Cuban girl, fresh to the US, and she was beautiful, bro. She didn't want anything extravagant, no expensive restaurants or fancy dates. Hell, she didn't even care about Instagram filters or showing off her life for anyone. We just hung out, laughed about random shit, and just talked. I wasn't used to that. Most of the girls I knew would be checking their phones every 5 seconds, trying to get the best selfie or wondering why I wasn't showering them with gifts. But not Lulu. She was chill. She wanted to come over, cook for me, listen to Karol G, her favorite artist, and just vibe out. I didn't play much Spanish music growing up, but after meeting her, all you could hear at my house or in my car was reggaeton. After a while, I started to like it. She was a Karol G super fan and would play her songs non-stop. I loved how she would sing right into my ear while sitting in the car being a passenger princess. I was falling for her heavy, bro. I noticed something else about Lulu too. She wasn't glued to her phone like most girls here. I remember one time we were hanging out at my place and I was watching her. She didn't need to be checking messages, scrolling through Instagram, or worrying about whatever drama was going on TikTok. She was just here, present. It felt like we were in our own little bubble. It wasn't about social media validation or making sure everyone knew what we were doing. It was just her and I. And Lulu helped me with my Spanish. I started noticing how much my Spanish was improving. Not that I was fluent or anything, but every time we hung out, she'd correct me, teach me a new word, or laugh when I mispronounced something wrong. It was the kind of relationship where I felt like I was growing. And I didn't even realize it in the moment. And here's the thing. I wasn't trying to put any pressure on it. I wasn't forcing things. I was just letting it flow. If she texted me, cool. If not, I didn't sweat it. I was focused on my goals. School, work, trying to stay fit, and level up my life. But Lulu, she was starting to chase me. And man, let me tell you, there's something about a girl who actually wants to put in the effort It felt good, but at the same time, I wasn't trying to let it get to my head. I started to feel like I was getting a hang of this whole dating thing. Maybe I had something figured out after all. I just had to keep my mind on straight, stay focused on what mattered to me, and let her do her thing. But little did I know, things were about to take a turn. It all started slowly, little things at first, nothing too big, but enough to make me start questioning what was going on. I noticed Lulu wasn't texting me as much, and when she did, it wasn't the same. The excitement, the easy flow of our conversations, it wasn't there anymore. She'd still check in every now and then, but there was times when I'd send her a message and I'd just get silence for hours. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, though. I mean, she was still new to the US, still figuring things out, and maybe she was just busy. It happens, but I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was changing. And then it got a little weirder. One night, she told me she was going out with some friends to a nightclub. Now, at first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, it was her life, right? She wanted to hang out with friends. I wasn't going to be controlling or tell her what to do. Hell, I wasn't some jealous dude, right? I followed the advice I'd been watching from Chris Canwell's channel. Stay busy, focus on your goals. Don't be the guy who's always texting, calling, or asking where they're at every 5 minutes. But the more she went out, the more I started to feel, a little bit weird about it. Nightclubs, really? It wasn't like we had talked about that kind of stuff before. I just thought she was different. I always thought she was more laid back, didn't care about the whole party scene. Lulu always seemed like the type of girl who would rather stay home, cook, listen to music, or hang out at a quiet spot. And now, she was going out every weekend, hitting the clubs with her new American friends. I mean, she barely even mentioned these new friends before. It was all about me helping her with her English, teaching her about life here in the States, all that shit. And now, she was spending more and more time with them and people that I don't even know. And to be honest, I didn't like it one bit. Everything was different. She started acting secretive about her phone. Before we were hanging out, her phone was never really a big deal. She'd leave it in her bag or on the table, barely checking it. But now she was always on it. If she got a text, she'd hide the screen or quickly put it away. That's when I started feeling like something was off. I wasn't about to blow a fuse, and I wasn't the type of guy who would go snooping through her stuff or give her a lecture about trust. I wasn't trying to play that role. But then the real kicker came. She got a job at a nightclub. I don't know why, but that really pissed me off, man. More than I thought it would. I mean, I wasn't some like traditional guy who thought women shouldn't be working in bars or clubs, but something about it felt off for me. The whole nightclub server thing, that felt like a step in the wrong direction for Lulu. It wasn't her. She wasn't that kind of girl, you know? She told me she was doing it because she needed the money, and I understood that. I wasn't mad at her for wanting to work, but I couldn't help but feel uneasy. The whole nightlife thing, the party scene, it wasn't her vibe. I couldn't help but wonder if this job was changing her in ways I wasn't seeing. But I stuck to Chris Canwell's playbook. Don't be controlling, don't get jealous. If she wants to do her thing, let her do it. I wasn't about to be the guy who smothers her, and I definitely wasn't going to be the one who told her what she can do and can't do. A couple of weeks passed. She called me. I'm quitting the nightclub job, she said. It's not really for me, you know? I think I want to do something different. Maybe work in a call center or something more stable. I was relieved, to be honest. I didn't want to seem like I was trying to control her, and I knew the nightclub scene wasn't what I had in mind for her. I wanted her to be doing something that felt right for her. A call center job sounded a lot more like Lulu. She could use her Spanish, and she wouldn't be around the wrong element. She promised me that she'd be done with the nightclub scene for good. I felt like I could breathe again. Maybe things were going back to normal. But then, she went back to the nightclubs. Yeah, you heard me right. A couple of months after quitting, she was back in the same nightclub. I couldn't believe it. It was like nothing had changed. The whole new job thing was just a phase, and now she was back to doing the same thing again. She didn't even tell me directly this time. I found out from one of my friends who saw her there. He sent me a screenshot of her working behind a bar, serving drinks, all smiled with a bunch of people around her. I didn't want to show her that it bothered me, but it did. I kept thinking to myself, why did she go back there? Was it her friends that convinced her? She promised me she was done with that. I don't know what hurt me more, man. The fact that she went back to the nightclub scene or the fact that she didn't tell me about it. It felt like she was hiding something I didn't understand. I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't. I remember what Chris Canwell said. Don't chase her, man. Don't overdo it. So I decided to follow the no contact rule. I pulled back completely. If she wanted to talk, she could reach out to me. I wasn't going to chase her down. I waited and waited, but nothing. After everything started feeling off with Lulu, her working at the nightclub, acting distant, and disappearing with her new friends, it didn't take long before I was feeling completely out of the loop. I stuck with the advice I had learned from Chris Canwell: keep busy, don't chase her, and let her reach out if she wanted to. But the reality was she wasn't reaching out. I finally sent her a message, something casual. Hey, how you been? Hours passed, no reply. I wasn't surprised, but it stung. Eventually, the next morning, she hit me up. And when I saw her text, my heart sank. It was clear we were done. I'm actually seeing someone else now, she said. I stared at the screen, confused. Someone else? What the hell? Why? I texted back. What happened? Her response hit like a ton of bricks, man. I don't think it's working. I've changed. I'm just not feeling it anymore. It was over, and that hurt more than I cared to admit. I invested so much into her, into us, and now, out of nowhere, she was saying it wasn't enough. I didn't beg or start an argument. I just walked away. The last thing I wanted was to chase someone who clearly didn't care. What's the point, right? A few days later, things took an even darker turn. One of my buddies sent me a screenshot. It was from a sugar baby website. And there she was. Lulu, profile, and all. I was in shock, man. The girl I thought was pure and innocent, the girl who used to hang out with me and cook dinner, was now seeking out some kind of transactional relationship. Pinche cabrona. I couldn't make sense of it. It wasn't just that she was on the website. It was the fact that I never seen it coming. She'd gone from being this sweet girl to someone who was apparently looking for cash and gifts in exchange for, well, who knows what. Bro, I was pissed. I just felt like, why, man? Like, why would you stoop so low? I couldn't help but reevaluate everything, all of my actions. Was I too easygoing or trying not to be controlling? Maybe I should have been more assertive about what I wanted or put my foot down when things started to change. But at the same time, I wasn't sure if that would have even mattered. She seemed to be changing on her own, away from the girl I first met. I wanted to talk to her, confront her about the screenshot, but I didn't. Instead, I stuck with what I learned. Don't chase her, don't beg. If she was done, then so was I. I stopped reaching out, stopped caring about what she was doing. It felt like I had no choice but to accept that it was over, man. It was done. It was done. After that experience, I was like, F girls. School, work, the gym, that's all that mattered. Maybe Lulu wasn't the one for me. I started questioning the whole relationship. Was I just another guy who got used for a little while before being tossed aside? But that's what you get for dating here in the West. I thought about the kind of woman I wanted in my life. Someone who was genuinely caring, who wasn't caught up in the toxic parts of Western culture, where people just seem to be playing games all the time. I now think that even if you were to bring a woman from another culture or mentality here, it's inevitable that she's going to be poisoned by the Western feminist mentality. I started making plans. I wanted to leave the United States. I was done with the games, the mind games, the hookup culture, and everything else that came with it. I began thinking about moving to another country where I could start fresh, where the women are less susceptible to the mind virus that is dating in the West. I was so tired of the same old bullshit, man. I knew I couldn't keep doing things the same way. I'm so glad I picked a remote career, and when I get my job, I'm out of here. Listening to Santiago's story really made me think about the sad state of affairs for dating in the West and how tough it can be to find someone who's there for the long term, won't cheat on you, or fleece you for everything you have. Es una locura. It's crazy how quickly Lulu went from innocent to a prepago, or a woman of the night, within just a few months or a year or so. It's scary, man. Obviously, with the advent of platforms like fans and sugar sites, it's never been easier than the times that we're living now to become monetized. To be honest, I can totally see why some guys might consider dating in other countries. The whole hookup culture and the constant mind games in the States seems exhausting, and it's clear that Santiago got caught in that cycle. When Santiago talks about wanting to leave the US and find a more authentic relationship elsewhere, I get it. Sometimes it feels like you're looking for something real in the wrong place, and dating in countries with a different mentality or cultural values could really give guys a chance to find a partner who wants the same kind of connection. Someone who values commitment over fleeting trends like tattooing your entire body, or like I said, monetizing in other ways, if you catch my drift. Vos ya sabes que hablo el castellano, el español con fluidez, entonces si vos querés más historias de los países latinos, por ejemplo Cuba. If you guys like this story and want other stories like this from places like Latin America, make sure to leave a comment. I'm open to reading your guys' stories from anywhere in the world, whether it's de Colombia, Kenya, Egypt, Russia, it does not matter. Just try to send me a cleaner version for YouTube. Make sure to check out my previous video right over here. And send over a story of your own that you'd like to be featured in the next video. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. My name's Roberto, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.